We did get a very slow start. The fact that they were both 40s instead of 90s, yeah, makes it kind of bad. We should also actually be taking note, checking what engines we get with these trucks when we're getting a delivery. And potentially just discriminating based on the truck, because this Renault is crap. So we have got a long delivery. Yeah, it's not even accelerating up this hill. This is going to take too long. We're gonna executive decision this and just reset again, because that's just abysmal. I might try Prague this time instead. Same dude. I'd laugh if the picture you chose actually changed the RNG in some way. Controller, automatic, next. Nope, that one. Down. There we go. Next, finish. Choose where to start. Because here's Berlin. Prague is down here. It's not too direct, actually, is it? Maybe it's not so good. Try Poznan instead? Or we could actually do Szeged and then just get deliveries to Berlin, maybe. That's not crazy. I mean, maybe it is, but it doesn't seem crazy. So we're starting off small. So once again, controls, get rid of you, keys and buttons, start, stop, engine, left turn, right turn. I should do the right one first so it doesn't jump around. Lights, cruise controls, good. That'll get reset. Unassign that, assign that. Trailer detach, menu that. Good. Gameplay, that's right. So technically the parking difficulty we do stipulate for this category, leaving the game settings as is. So that means that the parking difficulty should remain normal, so I can't actually change that to expedite things. Track. Limiter. Good. Everything else should be good. Right, let's see how we go with this. I think I might have been a bit early starting there, but whatever. I mean, this seems like a better pair of deliveries to start with anyway. Okay, we get a Mercedes-Benz truck dealer. We do need to know where a truck dealership is. Yeah, what do we get here? Only a 40 again? That's annoying. If our next delivery is to Berlin though, then that would be great. We really want 90s though. Yes, yes, freeze the wind, thank you. Good. Job market. Quick job. What do we got? We got some more of these. Sure. Hopefully we can get some 90 XP. Oh, back the other way this time. Nothing next to us, that's good. Always an awkward angle getting out of these. And real tight angle to get in here as well. Please be a 90. Yes, good. Can just mash A on those. See, it's great that this is a 90, even though it's basically the same as what we just did. In fact, it's almost easier because there's more room to actually move. Okay, but okay. The mirrors on this, I'm going to need this one up, because the mirrors on this truck are abysmal. Oh, this is terrible. I'm just having to guess. You know what? What is it, this one? This is horrific. This is why I always take the time when I'm playing casually to adjust my mirrors in whatever truck that I'm getting. Because, yeah, this is horrific. What type of truck was this? So I know to avoid it in future. Renault. Okay, yeah, Renaults are just rubbish. Job market. The other one. Oh, there was actually two there now. Cool. Maybe we can milk this a little bit further as well. This is just going to go back there, so it'll be another 40. That's a shame. I do need to pay more attention to, okay, where am I going? And learn, okay, these places, you don't get 90s. Watch as it turns me, it proves me wrong and it actually turns into a 90. Yeah, Euro goodies seems unlikely to get a 90. Like I said, it'll prove me wrong. It gives me a 90. Well, this will put us over the next level, which is great. And then we probably want to take the next delivery. We need to turn way around like this to get the right angle, don't we? We do want to take the next short delivery as well, I think, before we start going long haul. And then we want to look for a delivery to Berlin. Cool. Long distance, thank you. Now that won't apply until after time advances, like we won't get any jobs like that yet, I don't think. Oh, but our small job is now gone. That's annoying. And we don't have any to Berlin yet. That's really annoying. You know what? Let's just go like this. Oh, and I should have split. We're actually going to abandon, because I don't want to do that one. To Berlin. There we go. What do we got here? Only a 450 horsepower engine? Let's actually just take this short delivery because I'm barely sure we're going to get a 90 out of it. Every 90 XP we get from parking is some extra kilometers we don't need to travel. Which is kind of nice. The mirrors on this truck are much better than the Renault that we had earlier. Volvos are good. $90, good, yes. I mean, now that we're getting the extra 25% or whatever from a longer delivery, you know, maybe it actually works out better to do the long deliveries, but not always. Cool. Bonus 90 XP. Right, what do we got here now? To Berlin, but it's only a 449 horsepower for a 24 ton. This is what I was meaning by I need to be a bit more... Oh, this is actually good though. Oh, it's only a 370 for 8 ton. Gdansk, maybe? It's going the wrong way. 520, 510, 530. Just going to take this and then I'm actually going to abandon it again and just re-roll. Because, yeah, we can't be going that slow. Well, we get another one of these. That's fine. If I have to grind my way up like this, it's not great, but it might not be the end of the world. But I can't just be going, like, struggling to do 90 over a long distance. It's never going to be worth it compared to just doing these. If it's like a 400 horsepower engine, it needs to be a cargo less than 10 tons, ideally. Ooh, the turning circle on this one is abysmal. Ah, only 40? Rude. We also can't just keep resetting, because then we'll screw ourselves out of money. You can reset like a maximum of 30 times? Plus variance based on what rewards you do actually get. Okay, job market. I mean, we can go to Magdeburg, maybe. 370 and it's 18 tons. No, we can't go to Magdeburg. Let's just take this heavy one and then cancel it. Berlin. Carbonated water, 21 tons, 430 horsepower. That's terrible. We're going to take it and cancel it. $21 tons, 410 horsepower. Maybe we just try that one. We'll do this one first, in the hopes that this gives us another quick 90. But then I think we might just have to take something like that. I honestly think the best bet might actually be just you re-roll until you get a section to Berlin, or maybe you do start in Berlin and just get the Berlin to section delivery straight away, because your first truck usually seems to be pretty good. Good, 90. Next. Section to Berlin. Let's just see how we go. I'm not optimistic about the speed we're going to be doing on this. I haven't driven one of these trucks in quite a long time. This is a DAF, I think. So I guess we'll just see how it goes. At least I can see the mirrors. That's a good start. I mean, it's not just the engine, it also depends on what gear ratio we've got for when we're at top speed. Also depends if we crash too much or not. We've already taken damage on the load, that's bad. So we're going to be docked some amount of XP for that. I also wasn't paying attention to what XP I was actually up to. I know I need to get to 700 for my next level. But I didn't see what I was on. The other annoying thing is that this isn't a delivery that qualifies for the 250 plus bonus that I unlocked, which is kind of rude. We do also have 7 hours 40 to actually do the delivery, so we could probably do a lap and then go in if this truck does a decent speed. If we can get to 120, then maybe we do a lap. If we can't, we just want to ditch this delivery as soon as we can. Or we'd just unlock Berlin at least. cruise control up to 160 or something. We're struggling to accelerate through the 90s, so I think that's my answer. Once we get close to Berlin, we can just service warp to get in there to avoid all of the driving to actually get into the town. Now we can't actually see which depot I'm going to yet. But now I can have a drink at least. I'm fairly confident that I can beat my PB at least because in the community event I wasn't paying close attention to what I was doing. It was like 5 AM. And the other aspect of it was that I got a very long delivery through France that I was having to stop at tolls, and I was going slowly because it was a bad engine. I mean, this one's not great, but at least it's not as long a distance. Depending on the XP I get from this, and depending on what the parking bonus is, maybe we can get a good level 2 split, but I'm not optimistic. We've had to waste a lot of time and do a few 40s, and cancel a few deliveries, and we're not really making up for it on this trip here, because we're struggling to stay above 110, it seems. If I was going the other way, maybe it would be better because it would be downhill, technically. I mean, you don't think of Berlin as being uphill per se, but I guess it's technically a higher elevation than the likes of Stettin, so... Okay, here's Berlin. So we could go round and round and round. We do still have 92 kilometers to go, so we kind of don't want to forfeit that entirely. Let's see if we can do a good speed around here. We don't even have to slow down for this corner. We'll see. Famous last words. Nice. We bussin'. Now, keep following the motorway for now. It might actually just be better to stay on the route and not try and game the system by warping. We'll see. See at what point the kilometers stop counting for us, basically. Oh, headlight usage of it. Seriously? It's not even that dark. Okay, whatever. Stay this way. And now we're getting up to 140 k's now, which is nice. So this is actually really good to keep going as much as we can. We might even want to just overshoot and go around to the western entrance instead. Thanks for that, dude. You really had to just change lanes into me, didn't you? Yeah, we're going to ignore this and go straight through because we've got tons of time left on the delivery. And we are doing a decent clip on this motorway. We're getting up to 140, which is nice. And going around this direction, you can just have really nice turns the whole way. And hey, maybe we can make up for the damage we've taken. Maybe. Each lap of Berlin is about 200 odd kilometers, I think I measured. That's going to also screw us. So actually, we don't want to overstay our welcome on this. We do have our trip meter on the dash, which is good, which shows that so we've done 190 k's so far. Yeah, we don't want to overstay our welcome on the motorway, and this bit's uphill, which we're struggling with. So, good to know. We do then have a bit of a crest here, and we should start accelerating for this section. I'm going to follow this around to the right, dodge all of this flotsam here. Now, do we push on a little bit more? You get a bit of a sunk cost fallacy going on sometimes. 220 Ks. We're going to get docked XP for a bit of damage. I think we keep pushing for a bit longer. See what sort of speed we can get up to. We either hit 300 Ks or so, or next engine malfunction, we're service warping. This top stretch, I think, or like the north and east section of the ring road, I think is the best. I think you can maintain the best speed. So we're currently kind of doing a bit of the hill climb still. Up to 270 Ks almost. Hey, Mr. Smarty, welcome, welcome. This game, Berlin, is cursed for you. Every time you go around the ring road or enter, always crash into something. Yeah, I've already crashed into something. That was in Szczecin though, so it wasn't even in Berlin. But Berlin is important for this particular category. See, we're behind on our split, but that's kind of fine because of what we're doing. We're racking up kilometers by just driving around Berlin, just doing laps, which should then be reflected as XP when we make the delivery. So we're up to 300 Ks already. There's the engine malfunction. We're going to service warp. And now we actually go do the delivery. Not going to bother repairing it because it's not my truck. Think of Ring Road, think of London. Yeah. Berlin was the original. I have no idea what the original was. I think you'll find Rome was probably the original. way, way back. Fairly sure there's been a sort of ring road system around there for quite a long time. And probably in Roman Britain, there was probably one around London of sorts even then. So it just wasn't the actual, like, M-road that we know of now. Okay. 90 XP at least. If we can get it unstuck from the fence. So now we need to basically turn around to face the other way if we can. Okay, run out of room. Basically jackknife. Controlled jackknife. Okay, well this should be our next level, that's for sure. In 25, it's hell incarnate. It is when it's bad traffic. Okay, so we've got that. I think we want to do fragile on the off chance that I actually get any. Now, can we go... Oh, we can go from Berlin back to Szczecin. That's fine. 8 tons, 560 horsepower engine. Yes, please. So this should be really good for doing laps. Every highway's hell in traffic, exactly. Yeah. Now the M25 is great when you're not stuck in traffic. The only reason people complain about it is because of the traffic. Oh, we don't have a dash GPS on this one? That's annoying. We almost actually want to go the other direction around here instead of... We kind of want to go left up here, I think. And see how that goes in terms of the turns. It's not as clean as going right, but then our exit is really bad to get to section otherwise. Whereas now we have a nice smooth exit. So we'll see how this goes. We only just dipped over... Oh, how long have we got on this delivery, by the way? Remains 7 hours 40. Okay, good. We can do a couple of laps, I think. And then we've got... Is it 1400 XP? So we want to do at least a couple of laps, I think. Might have asked this before. From New Zealand, do the people of New Zealand go... Oh, hang on. One moment. I want to make sure I'm in the right lane for this. Go by the term Kiwis? Yeah, it's a colloquial reference to, yeah, call people who are New Zealanders Kiwis. It's a lot quicker than saying New Zealander. So yes, we are Kiwis. As in the bird, not the fruit. The fruit is named after the bird. Let's just put high beams on so I can see what I'm doing better. But the country does not go by the term Kiwi, no. The country is New Zealand, or Aotearoa is the accepted Te Reo Maori name for New Zealand is Aotearoa. It's technically not. That's only the name for the North Island, and even then only by a few. Which was North Island, or it might have been, that might have only been the South Island, I can't remember. Technically the islands are Te Waka Maui and Te Ika Maui. I believe the South Island, I think, is something Pounamu for the Greenstone. I think Aotearoa was technically just the North Island, but it's become accepted to be just the country in general. Does the bird feel like the fruit? Yeah, probably. I mean, it'll be softer. Like, the actual fruit is kind of rough because it's just a little kind of fruit fuzz, but the bird will be soft because it's feathers, funnily enough. Not actually held a kiwi before. They are endangered. You can do, like, kiwi experience things and give them a cuddle, but I have not. I generally prefer to leave animals to their own devices. Let's put cruise control on. So we're basically just wanting to do hot laps until we run down the time remaining on the job. So we've got 7 hours. Not sure how long each lap takes. So here's our exit for when we want it. So we want to take a look at... So what's the time? It's almost midnight. That's actually quite useful. We'll just say it was midnight. So that way we can count how long it takes us to do a lap based on it being a midnight exit. They are endangered. Swear if the fruit outlives the cute bird, I'm going to be sad. I mean, that wouldn't surprise me. But the very good efforts have been made to kind of save the bird. It's far from the most endangered that we have in the country. It is, like, breeding naturally in the wild up in Northland and other parts of the country, so it isn't like it's only on a island reserve or anything yet. If you look up about the black robin that was more of a success story because that was almost completely extinct. And they somehow managed to bring it back from the brink, I think. So this is where we do have to slow down a little bit from our 150, unfortunately. But maybe not. So the thing is, these interchanges are well cambered and everything, so doing 140 around there is actually really good. I'm not going to go on the right hand side in case they change lanes into me. We learned our lesson previously. Doesn't neighbouring Aussies have more endangered species? Not that I'm aware of. There might be some, but Australia's just such a much larger place that you don't get the same sort of habitat destruction problems, and also the native wildlife is generally a lot better able to fend for itself. The problem with New Zealand is that the birds got far too used to not having mammals around, and mammals are bastards when it comes to hunting birds. So as soon as things like cats and stoats got introduced, they decimated the populations. Whereas over in Australia, they have marsupials, they have mammals, and they have things like snakes, which means that small mammals are fodder for the native snakes and such. So I think that they fared much better. I'm not sure about Australia's extinction history, but I think far fewer species have gone extinct there than here. Also remember that over in Australia there was humans living there. The Aboriginal people were there for tens of thousands of years before Europeans even turned up. Whereas over here, the Maori only came along in the last 1,000 years or less, and they were responsible for the extinction of the Haast eagle, the moa, the huia, because it was a case of, hey, these species are really easy to hunt, and slash and burn agriculture destroys their habitat, so they all disappeared before Europeans even got here. And then we brought along our rats and cats and stoats and did the second wave. So yeah, New Zealand was much more of an isolated, protected little paradise for birds that as soon as mammals invaded, it was a problem. Whereas Australia was already populated by mammals and reptiles and such well before. What are the Kiwi highways like? They can't be too bad. It's a mixed bag. We have motorways in Auckland and Wellington, and a little bit in Christchurch. The roads between cities are pretty horrific by international standards. Our main state highway, where we have big trucks going along between our major cities, in a lot of places is just one lane each way, no median barrier at all. They're basically B roads by any other country's definition. They're not like rutted and pitted and all falling apart or anything. They're just not good safety-wise. So it took us an hour to do a lap, an hour 15 to do a lap. So that's good. We've got plenty of time. So what are we up to? We're up to the 30-minute mark. 50 minutes or almost an hour is our level 3 split currently. If we manage to do like 3 laps and then go make this delivery, we're probably going to hit level 3. So that should be good. Okay, so we're coming up to the turn up here that I slowed down to about 140 previously and managed to do it nicely. So we don't want to take it any harder than that, I don't think. So we'll just drop off cruise control, slow down naturally, make the corner, resume cruise control, accelerate through. So we slow down a little bit further than we did last time. That's fine. Call them highways in North America, and we call them motorways. It differs. So it depends on how you want to use it. You can make kind of semantic differences. To me, a highway and a motorway can be the same thing, but represent different things. A motorway to me is something that is like 2 lanes each way, separated median, barrier along the outsides. Something like what I'm on at the moment. This I would call a motorway. It may also be a highway. The highway to me is just, it is a designation of a important road that connects 2 cities or similar. We have state highways. Even though we don't have states, and never have. We have provinces or regions, we don't have states, but we still call them state highways. Go figure. So we have state highways, and some of the state highway network is motorways. But a lot of it is just like A road or even B road, but they're still called highways. Here, the difference is jurisdictional. So we have the national or federal body being the New Zealand Transport Agency, and they are the ones that are responsible for the upkeep and maintenance and improvements to the state highway system. So if something is like State Highway 20 comes through parts of Auckland, that is the domain of NZTA, as opposed to just normal roads. Even if a normal road is like of a motorway quality, if it is not designated a state highway, it is the responsible of the regional council or city council to maintain and improve. So that's the difference here. That's the reason for the state highway designation. It is in no way a guarantee of road quality or state, whereas to me a motorway is just a specific grade of road that enables you to go like 100, 110 or more k's an hour. It sustains a certain top speed by being safe. So we've almost completed our second lap. This is a great truck for doing this in. And when we get around to the exit, it reckons we only have like an hour and a bit. We've also taken no damage basically. None of the load at least. So it's only like an hour and a half or less when we get to the exit. Which means that if we do speeding, then it'll be like an hour tops. We've got plenty of fuel. So we can do like another 2 laps, at least, if we want. Sweet. This is going to be a bit monotonous to watch, but... And I mean, we're going to be taking a long time on this particular split, but we're hoping to make heavy inroads into the next level as well. We've got to make the most of when we've got a good truck configuration like this. Where I live, a street with decorations on each side to be classified as a boulevard, and a street with a median would be an avenue. We don't really have any of those such things here, so it's hard to say. But streets with decorations on the side, we don't really have those. You mean like trees and stuff? Yeah, but I mean you can have just a single lane road which has that. I mean, we have roads that are just called such and such boulevard or such and such avenue, and they're just names. They don't actually represent the state of the road in any fashion, or how it looks. The main distinction for, like, non-motorways is, to me, a road that is not quite at the level of being a motorway, but has no direct driveways onto it. So the only interaction with the roads is at intersections, and it has a separated median, even though it might not be a built-up one like this have. That would be an expressway. But crucially, an expressway may still have intersections as opposed to interchanges. The main hallmark of a motorway to me is that you do not have any direct stoppage in the main flow of traffic. You have these sorts of interchanges to sustain a constant thing. You don't have any traffic lights, roundabouts, or anything like that. Whereas an expressway, you won't have driveways and such. It won't be a domestic road in that regard. But you will have a separated median of some sort, and you may have intersections with other roads between blocks. In terms of whether something is then an avenue or a boulevard is just stylistic and it's got nothing to do with the actual street itself. And yeah, we kind of don't care about those here. We don't have many examples of things like that. I mean, what, Nelson Street in Auckland? The Nelson Hobson Street's the main kind of up and down the one-way systems. They have like things on the side, they don't have anything down the middle. I wouldn't call that a boulevard though. They're ugly. The decorations they have are shop frontages, nothing fancy. Hey, it's almost daytime again. We've just been doing laps all night. You better not have damaged my trailer. Good. So, what do we got? 2 hours 50 remaining. It'll be like 2.5 hours remaining by the time we get to the off-ramp again. Can we squeeze in another lap? I think we probably can. Any classification for roads, streets, ways, avenues, boulevards, lanes, drives. Yeah, those are all just names of roads. While they may originally have a technical classification, and some may still hold true, at the end of the day, they're just names. They don't actually denote anything of significance. Yeah, then highways is also, as you say, a broad term. I don't know where the term came from, but I wonder if it's a case of a highway is like a higher standard of road, perhaps? We're going to try and do one more lap. We're going to see if we can squeeze in one more lap before we go off back there. It may be a bit of a gamble. We don't want to be late because you do get penalised for being late. But I think I can squeeze in just one more lap. Unfortunately, we have an overall odometer, we don't have a trip meter, so I don't know exactly how long it's taken us, how much distance we've travelled. What's the betting that we'll go through all of this and then it'll turn out that it hasn't counted for whatever reason? Always a bit paranoid about things like that. Okay, so here's the turn. Let's see how fast we can make this turn. So we naturally slow down on the incline anyway. It's also a cambered turn. We didn't even need a brake this time. Perfect. It's really good. Called highway because you mean to be high when you drive on it. No. Don't do that. Don't drug and drive. Very bad idea. If you do that, you deserve to crash and not crash into anyone else. Simple as that. Same as if you drink and drive. Now, sometimes I wonder if it's because whoever designed them was high, because sometimes they don't make much sense, but I think it's probably that the standard of road is meant to be higher, or it's probably originally they were just on a higher elevation or something than the common road. I don't know. Better drainage, maybe. Who knows? Language is amusing, and sometimes it'll just be that maybe it just sounded like that, but it actually meant something completely different. Sort of highways, lowways, which are off streets that are usually less busy. Interesting. Oh crap! I just took the wrong turning. This is gonna screw me over. At this rate, no, I can't service walk back because that would be worse in terms of time. I'm gonna get stuck into it. This is wasting a lot of time. This is why you don't pay attention to chat, streamers. Or you speedrun offline. That's wasted a huge amount of time there. Never mind. We were doing so well. Preaching to us, but look who just crashed, because, yeah, exactly. See? Exhibit A. I'm not even high or drunk. I'm just tired and distracted. This is more of a lesson in, like, how people still use their phones while driving, and you really shouldn't. Ruining your PB. That's fine, I'll do another. We started kind of badly on this one anyway. I mean, you know, it looks good, but we had some low XP deliveries to start with. Now, my concern now is I only have an hour and a half remaining, and it's going to take me a lot longer than that to get there, and that's, yeah, that's now going to be cutting it tight. And if I am late, fairly sure the penalties for being late are hefty. So we're going to waste some of the XP that we've been gaining by doing this. But yeah, I've never really called things low-ways in particular, but it does make sense. So yeah, so the other explanation possibly is that high is a high traffic, so it's a high traffic way as opposed to a low traffic way. In place to Berlin, then he proceeds to drive out of Berlin, does loops around the ring roads. Yep, we're not going to Berlin, we're going to Stettin, but yeah. Okay, so where have you been? Nowhere. Just doing laps, just doing some sweet doughies around Berlin. Yeah, the Berlin to Berlin, or the intra-city ones, I prefer to just do straight away and then get the parking bonus. Because otherwise the amount of time it takes you to drive out of the city and then back again, it's not worth it. I kind of want to just keep getting Berlin to Stettin deliveries in many ways. So we've got an hour and 1. And it's going to take us 140 according to this. Our turn-off is up here. We can speed on most of it until we get to the tight corner close to the city. Can we make this gap? Kind of, but not really. And trailer damage. Only 1% on the actual delivery, at least, so that's good. Just a little bump. 47 minutes. So this makes it tense. This is good drama. See how far we can get. It might be a case of we can't afford to do a manual delivery, which will be a shame. But yeah, like an hour and 8 based on going the speed limit. We're going more than the speed limit, so it'll be tight. People play like this little winter mod. I've not, no. Removes a chunk of friction depending where you are. Tend to be a challenge people use to do the pattern, just drive their 18-wheelers. Yeah. Typically, yeah. Yeah, once you get the hang of it, you'll just slide it around the corners and stuff like that. But, yeah, I've heard people talk about winter mod and people complain about, oh, we don't have seasons in the game. I don't care. Like, driving in snow or ice, yeah, I can understand why some people would enjoy it as a challenge. I just find it a pain in the ass. I've played SnowRunner. If you want to play a game like that, play SnowRunner and get stuck in the mud. And, yeah, it's super frustrating. You can winch yourself out until the tree breaks, and then you get yourself stranded. It's a fun game at points, but also incredibly frustrating at others. Largely driven by my desire to go to places I probably have no business going. But yeah, to me, having that in a game like this, nah, don't care. Now, I can't remember if it was this corner that I had to slow down a lot more for. No, it's this S-bend up here I need to be careful with. It's nuts how good the game engine is despite being a truck game. Oh yeah, no, absolutely. The physics replication of that, that's why for a long time, like there is a added DLC, which is the Michelin fan pack. And I had it, but fully expected that it was just a cosmetic thing. It's just so you can have fancy Michelin tires and stuff. It makes the truck look interesting. But then one of the other speedrunners asked how I was going so fast, because I was doing like 180 sometimes or more. And they just weren't able to do the same speed and wondered what the hell was going on. Yeah, it turns out because the rear wheels of the Michelin ones, you can get bigger tires. Obviously, a larger one supports better rolling for top speed. So yeah, it turns out your top speed is slightly higher if you have the right tires on the back wheels, which makes perfect sense. But yeah, because it wasn't mentioned, there's nothing within the game at all that mentions that it will improve your potential top speed. By the way, we made it. And we've leveled up quite handily. We're going to do high value. Now, can we get another Berlin intersection or something? Nope, we can go back the other way, but that's 24 tons and it's only 500. Berlin to Leipzig is probably fine. It's only 350. So we want another really good... And so now we're getting to shorter deliveries again. Oh, we're doing the wrong way. Yeah, there we go. Because we do want to cross the... I don't actually know which ones I should be looking for. I want it to be more than 250. That's more than 250. That's actually really good. And it's a 580. Yes. Let's do some laps. And we have 18 hours to do it. And we're about halfway through this level, so we're probably about at the 1800 mark. We're not going to get all the way to level 5 with this delivery, I don't think, but we might come closer than we have any right of doing, which will be kind of amusing. So we want to just start doing laps, but it's going to take us 3 hours? Maybe 2 hours to actually get there, so we want to allow for that as well. Well, we can start doing some laps. Also, it's a case of this truck might not be as good. It's got a decent engine, but it's taking us a while to get up to speed. We'll see what it's like when we actually get onto the motorway. But if it's not as good, yeah, we might just have to... because it's a heavy delivery, isn't it? Yeah, 22. Once we're up to speed, it should be okay. It's just... it'll take longer to accelerate because it's a heavier delivery. Pretty sure this engine is still based on 18 wheels of steel engine. I believe they completely remade the engine. I don't think it is, but initially it would have been based on that to an extent, but I believe they reworked it quite significantly. Like it's a newer version of what that would have been. I do remember 18 wheels of steel. I have one of the 18 wheels of steel installed on my computer. I can't remember if I ended up actually streaming it or not, but I did boot it up and play it at one point. It's rough, predictably. I think I was tempted making a headlight usage defense, because it's before 7 AM, I guess. I was tempted to make a speedrun.com category for... Now, which way do I want to go? I want to stay going this way, don't I? Yeah, that's the way that I started going down and shouldn't have the other time, I think. So he's got their start in hunting games? Apparently so. I do like some hunting games. I have the Hunter Call of the Wild. It's kind of fun. Oh no, this is the one where I went off the wrong way. Let's not make the same mistake again. So we're not doing quite so good on the speed front for this one. It's not terrible. 130 or so instead of 150 or so. 210 cruise control, yeah, that'll be ambitious. Distance to empty, 1350. Each lap being about 200, plus the distance that we actually have to travel to go there, which was another 250. We have to ignore our GPS a lot, because we actually have to have paid attention to how to go around this road. Yeah. I'm trying to figure out how many laps I can do. I think I can do like 4. Maybe 5 laps? We can push for 5 laps. Only 2 things you know for Sweden is IKEA, and they make good trucks. Yep, Scania and Volvo. Absolutely. Hey, now we're up to 150. Nice. Yeah, see, once we actually got up to speed, so it's a good gearbox and good engine. Decent engine. So despite the heavy delivery, that's just going to hit us a little bit on these uphill humps. But that's okay. We're still going to maintain a pretty good average. And we should get a hefty XP bonus because it's over 250 kilometers. So I strongly suspect that you only got the bonus XP for the original amount though. So this was like 256 or something kilometers delivery. So that would be 250 XP plus 25% is, oh god, about 60, extra 60 XP or something. So we'd kind of expect that the bonus for long distance delivery will only be about 60 or so XP. About 62.5, basically. So it'll be interesting to see on our stats after this delivery what we actually get to. I can't remember what the world record for this category is. Much less than what I'm likely to do, that's for damn sure. I think if you manage to really min-max this sort of thing, then you can definitely make the most out of this. We might even skip level 4 entirely at this rate, I'm not sure. So we're going to slow down naturally on this uphill, so we're not going to actually have to brake for this corner at all. Perfect. And we're going to jump across to the shoulder all the way, in case they change lanes into me. And PewDiePie is also Swedish. Honestly didn't know that. I didn't know where he was from. I don't follow him much. Want to try to play ETS2, but I already played this game a bit too much. I mean, you've seen my casual streams, right? I think this is the game that I have, if not the most hours on Steam, it's the second after Subnautica. Speedrunning this game also does not take very long to learn or do, where there's some very short categories. If you have an established profile that's high level, with plenty of money and everything, then that's great for getting started on any of the city categories. Just any new game plus category in general. Basically you just need to buy yourself the best Volvo, get the best engine, specific transmission. Oh! Crap. Let's just... 0% on the delivery looked like. Okay. You know what? Maybe we just finish this. We might not be doing hot laps on this one, eh? Fun. Whee. So now we've got, oh, we've still got 13 hours remaining. We can go back onto there and do some more laps. But we might only get 2 more laps in now. We were on our second. Whoops. Have 1,204 hours. I can't look at my hours now, funnily enough, but actually I probably can. I'll set cruise control, Alt-Tab to Steam, 1,080. So you've got couple of hundred hours on me. Only 1,080. Plus a few hundred in ETS, obviously. But yeah, you need to get the Michelin DLC if you want to go fastest. But that, like, costs $5 or something. It's really cheap. At one point people were complaining, oh, should we exclude this from runs or whatever? But it's like, no. It's part of the shipped game. It's just an optional extra. Speedrunning is an investment. You've always got to remember that. Like, speedrunning is not about everyone has exactly the same chance, because better hardware, better control schemes. Like, if you use a wheel, you will do better than me. Controllers are not the way to go. Yeah, see, this truck does not want to turn much without wanting to roll. I need to remember that. And that's the other thing. So, yeah, we might still set a good PB on this. Maybe. It's hard to tell at this point. But I think the best PB will be if I down patch this to 132 again. Because then I'll have the Berlin Ring Road, or should, but will not have the physics changes. So I'll be able to turn at higher speeds much more easily without tipping. Up to 760 hours in ATS. I think you've got me there as well, because I think I've only got about 400 or 500 hours. $200 in DLC and a $300 gaming wheel. You have a problem? No. That's a lot less than a lot of people invest in their hobbies. If you play golf, you will spend $500 or a lot more on a set of clubs, let alone membership fees and all of that. So anytime you feel a little bit bad about the fact that you spend money on a hobby that you enjoy, and to your own admission have gotten more than 2,000 hours of entertainment out of, just remind yourself that someone could buy a single piece of sports apparatus for something that they will maybe do an hour in a week or two or something. It'll take a lot longer to rack up the same amount of time. And plenty of people will spend money on expensive sports equipment, musical instruments, what have you, and never actually get much use out of them. They might play it a little bit and then give up. I think we've all got things like that. I've definitely got a lot of examples of things where I've put money into stuff and just not really got the return out of. I bought myself a Wacom graphics tablet years ago with the idea that I was going to do a bit of like graphic design and stuff and have a bit of fun with it, do some digital art. I've used it a bit. I've used it probably a maximum of 3 hours or something. Not very good conversion from the $500 or $600 cost. Probably about as much as you've spent on your gaming wheel, and I have not used it much at all. ETS2 is your #1 most played game until recently. Oh, now it's Satisfactory? Oh, okay, no. Satisfactory, I would say you have a problem. But again, if you're enjoying it, fair play. I don't think I could get into Satisfactory. It's far too banal for my liking. At least with ETS2, yeah, you can spend a lot of time in it, but you're traveling different places, you're interacting with things constantly, you get change of scenery. I should be using my scenic camera more often, actually, for this. I do like that the truck colour kind of goes with the Sand Builders colour scheme. That's nice. Yeah, prefer games with a bit more variety. Satisfactory just, it's the classic numbers go up. And it just seems very tedious. I also just get completely lost with games like that ramp up to the sort of scale where you're having to have lots of different machines doing lots of different things to interact. I know some people love that stuff. That's why Factorio and Satisfactory are so popular. I just lose interest. It feels like you just get so abstracted from it. I start to feel like I'm not playing the game anymore, but the game is playing me. And I don't like that. Same thing with like EVE Online back in the day, how that just basically got called, Spreadsheet Simulator, effectively. It's like, yeah, you can waste a lot of time on a game like that. And yeah, I just don't feel like I get as much out of a game like that as what I'd be putting in. The other thing that annoys me about Satisfactory, one is I don't like the whole ethos of you are just plundering a planet for resources. I mean, it's a great examination of the human condition, right? You've got a big movement these days for people being environmentally conscious and being concerned about usage, and I'd be really interested to know how many people who do go along with those sorts of philosophies then play something like Factorio Satisfactory, which is all about just plundering the crap out of all of the resources at your disposal and min-maxing, ruining a planet. Okay, this is the one that screwed me over last time. I'm going to brake a little bit harder this time. Yeah, I just feel like a game like Satisfactory, yeah, it's a game, of course, but it's sending very much the wrong message at this sort of time of societal change. But the other thing that gets me about it is it's just so boring in terms of its setting. I don't know, maybe they've changed it since, I'm sure they've done updates and everything, but from what I could tell when Selvin was playing it, and from what I've seen of other people playing it, you have a choice of like 3 different biomes, but all of the life forms are exactly the same. You don't have diversity. No Man's Sky had the other problem. You explore a new planet, and I mean, they were at least like procedurally generated, so they were different looking animals and stuff, but you'd only have like a dozen species for an entire planet. And Satisfactory looks to be even worse, where you have like 6 species or something. And there didn't seem to be much difference between the biomes, so you have like a sort of desert setting and a temperate setting, and it didn't look any different. I don't want to pollute the virtual world, it's just the feeling of it, right? It just feels bad. I don't like the idea of getting success out of doing that. Or I don't get the same level of enjoyment out of it anyway. Currently in early access? Oh, still? Yeah, no, that's bullshit. That's the other annoying thing, is games that abuse the early access label far too much. From what I can see, Satisfactory is feature complete. I don't understand why it could warrant the early access. How long has it been in early access? Years? See, Subnautica was in early access for like, what, 2 years for Below Zero or something? Maybe longer for the original? And they were progressively implementing new biomes. You know, there was stuff that was not there. It was very clearly early access. It's just a case of how much gameplay are you getting out of it, and what are you still adding? Where do you draw the line between something being released as V1 and then expanding on it? Because you can still do post-release patches and stuff, right? You know, ETS2. This has been released for a long time. They're still making incremental changes. They add map DLC. They still go back and improve and completely rework and overhaul the original parts of the game. But they didn't hide under the veil of early access to do so. Only 30 people working on it, and I don't think there's all that many more people working on ETS2. think Icarus was only in early access for like a year and only had a team of about 30 to 50 people, if that. Oh, once again, I'm taking the wrong turns. Okay, where am I going now? I mean, I'm still got 5 hours. You know what? We're just going to stick with this. We're just going to go this way now. We're going to own our mistakes. And we're just going to go this way now.
Oh, yeah.
Hey, dear guy UK. Welcome, welcome. Thank you for the raid. You come late into a speedrun where I literally just made the wrong turn. But we're just going to go with it and see how it works out for us. Because either way, we're going to the same location, and the more distance we do, we're kind of fine with. Though our distance to empty is going to start to worry us after a while. I don't want to actually top up on gas at all. It's a case of how much top speed we can manage. No, we don't want to go through there. I'm going to continue destroying your virtual planet, you won't stop me. I don't intend to stop you. You go have fun. Diddy raid. Brilliant. Welcome, everyone. I hope you enjoy the sounds of driving. Because we're doing a lot of it. But I actually have no idea how much longer I've got to go on this run. Because I have a feeling that this delivery is going to catapult me very close to level 5, which is my target. I'm far too used to having... Let's not roll. I'm far too used to having a dash GPS at a like tighter line and the main GPS. Oh, I do actually. I just realized it's just hidden behind the other one. I need to have a wider field of view. Have follower only mode on? Yes, I do. That is to prevent spam, like chatbots and stuff. I mean, if it bothers you, I apologize, but at the same time, you've got to understand, if I'm doing this, I don't have a separate moderator, so I can't be just pausing speedruns to time bots out and stuff all the time. So the best way I found of dealing with that was to just have follower-only mode on, and yeah, that seemed to cut out a lot of it. They have started to get smarter, unfortunately, and the bots will follow and then spam their stuff. You know, you can only do so much. But, yeah, if people want to chat, drop a follow. You can always unfollow later. It's not the end of the world. So, yeah, frowned upon. I don't see who would frown upon that. I know that people who go on about growing your streamer base and stuff like that, they frown on it. I'm not really concerned about that attitude anyway, so like this is a very casual thing for me to do. Insofar as Twitch themselves, I imagine they would probably encourage it rather than frowning upon it. I don't know, and again, I don't particularly care. I just go with what works for me. So if people frown upon it, I'm not sure why they would. If you want to encourage a lot of people just spamming chat, then sure, fair enough. But usually you want to encourage people to actually follow your channel, because that grows your overall base for your channel. People will then get notifications when you go live, things like that. And again, if people don't want that, that's fine. You just, yeah, won't chat either. I feel that dropping a follow to a channel is a bit of an investment. If I'm interested and invested enough in a channel to want to participate in the channel and chat in their stream, then I'm going to want to follow them. So yeah, if they don't grab my interest enough for me to want to follow them, then I'm not going to want to chat either. So yeah. It feels like the two are very linked anyway in terms of following and participation. Believe in video games are art? Absolutely. Game can stay in early access for as long as it wants since art takes time? Disagree. See, games are art. They are an expression of art. Absolutely. That does not give you free license to abuse the early access mechanic. Early access is there while you gain some support and feel out some of the critical issues that prevent you from going to launch. If you're using early access, you should always have a very clear roadmap in my mind of these are our delivery milestones, this is how long we expect to take to get to each of them, and fully expect that people who back the game in early access hold them to account for it, quite frankly. It should also be a much more discounted price than the full release game eventually will be, ideally. They usually end up being like a 20% discount, or like they'll increase the price by 20% or so. Again, I don't like that tactic either. I would rather that early access basically have a permanent discount for being in early access, and then you should always indicate what the full price is going to be. But at a certain point, you do have to go, okay, we have actually achieved our goal. We have a game that you can play and enjoy, and we are going to do further updates as feature updates, or added DLC, potentially. You gotta rip the band-aid off sometime. You just can't hide behind the idea of, oh, it's early access, so excuse all our bugs. Because that seems to be how it's projected sometimes. I'm not a fan of that attitude. Eventually you've just got to own it and go, yep, we have what we are happy with as a game. Because the other thing with it being like art is that you ask any artist, musical artist, visual artist, if they think that things are complete when they eventually do, like, release it, or publish it, or display it. Most artists, I'm fairly confident, will say no. Like a musician, is your song finished? No, but it's as good as I could get it. Like, you can tinker endlessly with things in the pursuit of perfection, and you just have to realize that that's not an attainable goal. That there is always going to be things that you might want to do, things that you might want to tweak. But it gets to a point that you've just got to go, yeah, for a game at least, you can go, yeah, I can patch it. For a visual artist, you can go, I'll improve on that for my next painting. For a musical artist, it'll be a case of, okay, I'll remember that for the next album. Yeah, Coffee Stain, yeah, same people behind Goat Sim. Yeah, Goat Simulator is hilarious. I haven't got the new one. I played the original one. I haven't got the new one. But I've watched people play it. And that's just, you know, fun. It's just good, silly fun. It's basically a physics showcase as a game. But it is an interesting contrast between that and then something like Satisfactory, where it's a case of, well, you've got Goat Sim 3 released. Fairly sure that wasn't in early access. Traffic. Gross. Yeah, I don't follow many games, and I don't play all that many games realistically, so I'm sure that the landscape is very varied. But I do like jumping in on early access games, but I'm also very picky about how they use it. If I remember rightly, I think Hardspace Shipbreaker was early access for a while as well. But it was very clear what they were doing, and they developed it in a certain way, and okay, you know, now we have these new missions have been added to the story, and these new ships are now available, and stuff like that. It's a good way of doing it. The key point to me is just communication. And being very clear about these are our goals, so people can have confidence that, yeah, they're not just going to sit in early access for a decade. Running out of fuel, you say that. Distance to empty says 389 kilometers on my dashboard, and I only have 25 kilometers to go, so I'm pretty fine about my state in terms of fuel and tiredness. I think ultimately, the crash notwithstanding, that was bad. We would have been able to maybe squeeze in another lap if we hadn't had to call for services. But I think we've managed to tune this delivery pretty well. And it's not far in here to get to, like, they redid Hanover recently. So it's a much more of a sprawl than it ever used to be, but thankfully we're not very far into it here. Yeah, I honestly felt that even like Subnautica Below Zero, I felt that stayed too long in early access. But then at a certain point, they completely redid the storyline, so fair enough. And that's the other thing, is yeah, if you're not sure what creative direction you're actually taking for a game, by all means, you slap that early access label on it. But yeah, if I go on Steam and I see a game presented to me and, oh, it's early access, okay, interesting. How long has it been in early access? What was their last update? Do they have a clear roadmap of when they expect to be fully released? If any of those things are to the negative, then I will just wait. I might add it to my wish list, but I will not play it. I will not buy it and play it until things are a lot more clear. $40 XP? Yeah, fine. We could probably have just taken the instant delivery on this one, to be honest, or like the 10 XP. Oh, we've got this whole extra lot up here. I hit something somehow, not sure. They're great people and very open. Oh, yeah, I mean, I'm nothing personal against them. Purely stylistic differences. Recently they keep pushing the next update back. Game is still quite glitchy and has no real plot. Yeah, and so that's a sign that, yeah, it probably still deserves the early access label then, but that also means that they might not have their priorities right. Hey, we have leveled up. We're just gonna do extra long distance. I didn't see how far I have to the next level. That's not what I want. Oh, actually, no, that is what I want. I just realized that is actually perfect. That shows me 837 out of 100, so we only need a couple of hundred XP. So should we just do a couple of tiny deliveries then? Is this still what we want? No, we want the other way around to do that. Hanover Hamburg 170. That's kind of longer than what I want. Hey, Section to Berlin. That's still longer than what I want, I think. Let's just do that. I'm actually going to go over in terms of XP, I think. This is barely going to be a PB now, unfortunately, and we wasted a lot of extra time, I think. Especially with crashes and everything. I didn't see what my XP drop there was. If we had managed to do one more lap instead of crashing and having to call for services, then actually we probably would have run out of fuel, to be fair. Also, we did do that whole extra leg instead of going direct. So, there's also that. So I guess maybe we did do it about as well as we could have. The extra lap was kind of catered for the longer delivery that we ended up doing, or the longer leg we ended up doing. Dunno. At some point, if I'd managed to squeeze in just one more lap, I'd have gone straight to level 5 then, and not have to do an extra delivery. I'm being super paranoid about these corners now because, yeah. I definitely need to try this on the older game version, on 1.32. and see whether or not that makes a big difference with the physics being different. I just realized this is the sort of truck that I normally have. This is the good Volvo. Because the GPS is perfectly positioned. The display is nice and clear. I can even get rid of that extra visual there. Squeak through here. Yeah, a little bit of damage there. Little nudge. That's fine. Focusing on content over the plot. I mean, why did they bother with a plot in a game like that anyway, right? No one who plays that game really cares about any sort of plot. They're there for playing the building and the optimizations and everything, right? I should have gone the other way around, shouldn't I? Yeah, I've got the weird loop-de-loop thing up here instead. Yeah, I should have just exited south out of Berlin instead, I think. I think we've just got to remember to do that in future. If you're going to Stetson, south out of Berlin. Yeah, I wonder how much of that is just that being too ambitious. Because the other thing about not focusing on plot or anything and just doing content is, again, you have the ability to do updates after you launch a game. From what I have seen of the gameplay of Satisfactory, again, I've not played it myself, but from what I've seen of the gameplay of it, you have the different levels of the big, like, space elevator and stuff, where you have certain levels that you progress through. If they have a plot of sorts that just goes up to level, I don't know what level they're up to, but level 5, for example, have that. You'll capture enough people's interest to do that. You get to a certain point, okay, the story is finished, we're at level 5 or whatever. You can then continue to do content updates, and you can add things at the lower levels to inspire people to come back and replay your game, or you can add additional levels on top for those who have already maxed it out, so that they can come back and play further. These are things that you see in many, many other games. I mean, if there's like glitches and bugs and stuff that they're still having to squash, then that suggests to me that they didn't have their fundamentals right in the first place. They went too big on trying to make it too expansive too quickly. Because from what I can see of it, you can play that game for, well, hundreds if not thousands of hours already, which to me, that's a complete game. You know. If I played that much of a game, I would eventually just get bored and go, you know what, I'm going to stop. And then it's like, oh, there's updates. Oh well, don't care. Because I've already played the hell out of it. Whereas if they'd done a strategy of just incremental updates, both free and paid potentially, then they might hold interest for a lot longer. You know, like ETS2 for example. Feature complete game. It's pretty basic when it first came out. They've made significant updates over the years, and they've expanded the map area, and added new trucks, and added new transmissions, and cosmetic DLCs, functional DLCs, you know, special transport deliveries, heavy cargo deliveries, you know. Seems like a very solved problem. Currently level 8, okay, yeah, going to level 10. So, again, why didn't they just release at level 5 and then work on updates from there? Because let's be honest, people these days tend not to expect a game to be complete at launch, rightly or wrongly. I don't see a problem with it personally, necessarily, so long as it is solid, as in not full of bugs at launch. Bethesda. People expect a game to continue to be updated. Fairly sure Deep Rock Galactic is no longer in early access. They had a similar sort of thing, where they've released, and then they've been making significant updates through the years since. I don't know, there just doesn't seem to be much excuse for it anymore. Cool. I don't think I need the 90 XP. If I do, I will kick myself for not taking it, because it won't really add much to the delivery time. But I'm fairly sure I can just take the 15 XP. I could probably have just not taken any XP. Drive it in, drop the trailer. So we're going to PB by over 10 minutes, looks like. Yep, level 5. Perfect. I don't split yet, though. We just do that, we do that. Right, now. Bank. 400. Yes. Good. Out. I mean, trailer purchase, but I need a truck first. Truck dealers. Visit dealer. Yes. It's not the sort of truck I normally go for, but there we go. Go out. Go out. Trailer purchase. That'll do. Purchase. Deliver there. Yes. Good. Good. Trailer manager. Click. Use. Yes. Time. Select a trailer has been attached. When that shows, that's time. And now drive. And we have a trailer. We have our first truck and trailer. And we have done our PB by 11 minutes. Massive gain on that last split because of how we structured things. Yeah, pretty happy with that. That's good.